Go button. And we are live. Jeremy, hi.
How's it going?
It's going, man. Busy day, but we're here. I'm ready. I'm stoked. How's your day?
It's going good. Just enjoyed a nice, finally hot weather's coming into Havasu, so I got to bring my little man to the lake and spend some time with my girlfriend as well. So it's been a good day.
Nice. Nice. So,
Yeah.
immediately I'm just find myself wondering, like, because you guys could do that today, is BMX your full-time, like, deal with life?
Yes. Yeah. BMX is my, I guess, full-time job. When I first moved to Arizona, before I kind of like my career took off, I worked at a little local bike shop that's literally right across the street now from the house. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, definitely worked hard towards being BMX as a main job and focus, so I could have time with my family and my little man.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wondered because, I mean, to be totally honest with you, man, like, I really don't know anything about you other
Yeah,
than what you see riding wise, and I think
yeah,
that's sort of the importance of doing podcasts and things like this, where we can get to know people like you for more than just your flair to flair.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Everyone, I guess, yeah, like I said in the bike check, they have like an image or like something they just kind of set out for someone. Like same with me, if I see someone online that I like kind of look up to, or I am one kind of looking into, you don't get much besides a picture. So you get, okay, he's got tattoos, he rides a bike, and that's it. So I guess I see why these are important. I feel like more people, I feel like, should do them.
Mm.
It's good to know the person as a whole, not just what they do. There's always something deep down that the person has. Still, all normal people, we're all the same, and just a different lifestyle, I guess.
Yeah, man. So, like, just, I guess, can you tell me a little bit of background info on you as a person?
Yeah, I grew up in Lancaster, California. I played soccer and did a lot of sports in school and stuff. I was always very competitive, but I always noticed myself drifting towards like an individual sport, something more on me, because I always had like it was always easy to point fingers at people and like, oh, that person messed up. But at the end of the day, you guys were all a unit and you're supposed to work together. So I just always drifted towards doing my own thing as a kid. A lot of like off-road motorcycles. I BMX raced for a while, and then I started riding scooters actually. I did that for probably 8 or 9 years, traveling around at a young age since I was probably 10 or 11 until I was about 16. And then I made the choice of like, okay, all my buddies have been bikers and I have a bike style on a scooter. So they said, hey, you should get a bike and try. And that was thankfully for me the last year that Recon Tour was doing their amateur series. So it really helped me kind of get into the pro scene very fast coming in as a scooter rider. I didn't even think I was going to make it as a biker, but I've always loved it. And I thought, hey, I might as well try before I have to settle down and be like, okay, I got to get a real job and do this and that. So it was kind of my last kind of big push at like becoming something that could hold me as a career. And it thankfully worked out, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I found myself kind of curious when you're talking about the scooter stuff of just like how deep into the scooter industry world were you?
I rode for Team Razor. I was signed with Team Razor for 2 years. I rode for Mad Gear Action Sports for around 4 or 5 years. I competed at all the world championships. I was a two-time back-to-back USA national champion.
Jeez.
Uh, I had a signature scooter with a few of the companies and parts. I actually co-owned a company in scootering called Flow, and then once I switched into biking, we kind of sold that off and parted ways with it just so I could focus on the biking. But I had a very big kind of upbringing into BMX, and I guess that's what helps me with a lot of the BMX stuff too. Is I was able to learn so many tricks faster because I'd already done them on something smaller. So anytime I see a kid either get mad at himself, like, oh, I wish I rode bikes and didn't scooter or anything like that, I always tell them, hey, like, there is no shade. Like, whatever you do to have fun, that's totally up to you. I never like judge a kid for what he wants to do. Same with my son. If people are like, oh, you got to get him on a bike, not a scooter, and I'm opposite. Hey, whatever makes him have fun, it's what makes me have fun. Watching him smile and whatnot. So, yeah, just personal preferences. But yeah, action sports in a whole are amazing. And definitely would like to see a lot of kids just keep pushing themselves and not get too hard on themselves for that.
Right, for sure. So I was also thinking too about the whole scooter thing, just because I don't know a lot about that world, but like obviously they're not in X Games. They're not
Yeah.
in the Olympics. So like what does the competitive side of scootering even look like?
There's a lot of contests. There's a lot of they have a point series and stuff that they have similar to like ours is like the feast or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, their own kind of structured events and their U.S. nationals and the worlds, but that is kind of like the peak of it. So after I think I did 3 or 4 world championships and did the whole series, it was almost like okay, what can I do now? Like, where's my next goal? I'm like that with myself. So like, I always try to push myself, whatever I do, and I just try to be the best at it, no matter what it is. Very competitive in the mind. So for me, it was always, what can I get next? Like, it was almost like I reached a point and I didn't want to reach that point yet. I think I was 16 or 17. So the BMX thing to me was like, I'm going to be starting completely down. I knew that, but for me, it was a challenge that I was up for the fight, and I'm glad that I did it.
Yeah, man, that's pretty wild to be such a young age and feel like you've reached the limits of the thing that you're going into.
Yeah, yeah, and it was, and I think it was also very early on in the scootering world. So it was kind of like, okay, are we ever going to do this? Are we going to do that? Um, and I think that honestly helped me make my push. But now, like looking at it, I'm very, very glad I made the switch. There's a lot more in scootering now, but I'm very happy with where I am in my life and what the choice I made, I guess, because I also had to support moving here on my own and having a child very young and stuff like that. So a lot of things that people wouldn't really think of in the time. They just thought, oh, he up and left scootering for bikes and portrayed everyone and all this. But it was, you got to look out for yourself at the end of the day, and earning money and making a lasting career that you can support a family. So that was my main focus and all that.
Oh, hell yeah. And I mean, you've definitely made it happen in BMX. And if there's like one thing about you that I feel like I had an impression of before getting to meet you or anything like that, it was that it seems like you've been very self like made as far as BMX goes, where you're the one making everything happen for yourself.
Yeah, and I think, like, of course, with my parents, my dad and mom, they were always very supportive with me, even in the scootering. And he was a very big part of the scootering part with me. He took
Mm-hmm.
me everywhere. That was before I could drive, really. So I was always relying on them to get me somewhere, get me to an event. When I switched to bikes, it was almost such a like a what to my parents. It was like, well, you just spent this much of your life doing this and you're gonna switch. And they were fully supportive of it. But again, we all had no expectation. I didn't even have an idea of what it would turn into until it kind of did start progressing. And that was when I was in Arizona now at this point by myself, and kind of just every day riding by myself, pushing myself, doing what I could, riding with the ones back in California when I'd visit. And it was it was hard to do it mentally and doing it alone, but I learned as I did. And I also had the skill from the scootering that I transferred over. So it wasn't as hard as starting as just a kid just right now grabbing a bike saying, I'm going to be a pro biker one day.
Yeah.
It definitely helped me set all that up. And then the story that I had running into it with the Recon Tour wins, I won the first stop in Denver and then did the finals in Greenville, and I won that, and it kind of helped project my career very, very fast.
That's really cool. I
Yeah.
I wondered about that because it just kind of, when I think about it, it felt like I remembered something about your career and like X Games or something just being like especially hard to make happen or something, but I don't remember why.
Yeah, that was so the first after the Recon Tour, they kind of announced that was the last year, and for me, I was like, oh shoot, like that's what am I going to compete in now? And the next thing was pro, so I actually had to make the choice. Luckily, I was very close with a lot of the guys already, so I felt comfortable at a young age. But I did the feast stop in Edmonton, Canada.
Mm.
I don't exact year. I feel like it was 2017 or 18. And I ended up getting fourth overall in that pro contest. And from then, it was just kind of like things just started happening for me of like, whoa, like, I don't know, it's happening so fast. It was just crazy. But yeah, it's a cool life, I guess. I'm glad that I did it.
Yeah, I mean, did you feel like when you were first kind of jumping head first into like the professional side of BMX that like people were accepting, knowing that you came from scootering? How did that go?
It was for me. I think in my own head, I get in my head a lot about things. Just to always, I try to just be the best and make sure I'm like doing the right thing. And I did have the most thoughts in my head, like, okay, are they all like talking bad about me? Like, is it a thing? Because I get the whole like scooter, bike, and skate rivalry thing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I understand that some people have their beliefs. I knew, like how you said, the X Games thing, that was very hard for me to get in. I was riding pretty well, but I was also young in the BMX world. I still feel like I'm quite new to it, for the most part. But that was a big one we had to push. That was actually Kyle Carlson at Vital BMX at the time. He really wanted to help me, and he was very close with me, and he said, let's get you out there. We actually flew out there to the skate park where they were going to hold the qualifying, just to film a video, just to send to them and say like, hey, I'm here, really want this, because I wanted it, like, and I knew that was the biggest part, was X Games. That was a huge accolade in the sport. So I was like, okay, that's my goal, is X Games after everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So we fought for it. I did get a spot. I got to go. I got to ride with all the guys and really get put under that pressure and realize like, wow, this is insane. It was a whole different world seeing it for the first time. But I learned so much, and I was able to use that, regroup. I used it to help me ride, use different tricks, different styles, stuff like that. And once it came down to 2021, at Pat's backyard, that was my first legit X Games invite for that contest. And that was just, I would think I was traveling home at that point from an event, and I got the email, and I was just blown away. I didn't even know what to say. I was like, wow, this has got to either be a really sick joke or it's really, and it happened. So I'm grateful for that.
Anyone who makes that joke is a messed up person.
I'm like, dang, like, who could it be? I don't know. I don't want to get too into it, but it was all legit in there, and I was stoked to see that.
Yeah, do you feel like there was like a defining moment that was what made them decide to do the like for real invite, or is it just like a culmination of just you being involved?
After after the qualifying one that I got invited to a few years prior, I feel like that was a for me, it was, I took it as a learn. Like, I never really think of a fail. I failed. Like, I always learn something from whatever outcome you have.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was a big, like, okay, we're gonna watch and see if he can learn from what he did. And I did. I took my steps. I took the time, and I was riding for Monster Army at the time, and they were helping me to get to every event. So I was really trying to push that name. And then in 2020 was when I got the email from Sean, who's the Monster Energy manager, and we kind of started talking about an energy deal. And that was, again, as a kid, for me, I was just ecstatic of like, wow, this is so cool, because as a kid, I loved Monster, and I loved action sports, watching Supercross and everything with my dad. So I was always set on like, that would be such a cool company. I was grateful for everything it did for me, and I was stoked. I did something to show a worth to move up to energy. And I do feel like that also had a big part of X Games, is Monster's a very big sponsor for them. So as a new kid, I was hopefully looked at as like, okay, let's give him a shot and see how you do. And I was, again, it was very nerve wracking being there, but I definitely wised up and was like, okay, take your time, calm down, and just have fun riding your bike. You can't get too stressed out, I feel like, in the events anymore. That's what ruins you, I feel like, as a rider.
Yeah.
Is the big mental game. So I'm trying to do more of that lately, is trying to keep myself calm and composed, and work on like the frustration you get with a trick, or just the being calm and trying to learn something the proper way and let it all come in naturally.
Is there anything like, what does that method look like for you when you're actually implementing that?
For me, it's a lot of breathing. Like, I've always had a very, either a short temper, or like when I'm trying a trick, I get frustrated. You know, anyone gets that way filming a video or doing stuff, but I had to really slow myself down and start thinking of just why I started riding in the first place, and not so much I didn't really start riding for this event, or I didn't start when I picked up a bike. I didn't say, okay, I'm in X Games, I have to do great. I didn't sign with Monster right away. It was always just I rode a bike and I chose to switch to it because I just loved action sports and I just loved to ride with my buddies. So I look at it that way now, more as I am getting to ride a bike every day and go to a local park or travel or take video parts, stuff like that, instead of being, oh, you have to do good. You have to do good at this event. You have to be the best now. Like, I'm just very calm lately and within the last half a year. And I notice it in my riding. My style has changed, and I just really genuinely enjoy riding now every day. And I look forward to it rather than like getting scared to go do something like, oh, I have to do this trick today, and I'm scared because it could kill me or something like that. It's always just like, today's going to be a great day no matter what. If I get to ride a curb, I'm stoked to ride the curb. If I get to ride a park, I'm stoked. So just try to keep in that mindset every day has really helped. And that's been the main thing for me, is just breathing, focusing.
That's pretty cool. So have you done any kind of competing since this kind of focus has started?
Yeah, that the last X Games was like that. I went to South Africa in the beginning of this year and competed at Ultimate X,
Yeah.
and the Nebraska contest where I met you at. And it's just so fun. I don't really go into it stressed anymore. And before, I was very sheltered, like not sheltered, but I guess I'd put a wall up in front of me. I'd be very like shy and like just to myself. And a lot of people would use that as like, oh, he's not cool, or oh, he's mean, he's rude, like don't talk to him. And I started realizing that, and I'm like, okay, I need to open up and be more presentable as what I'm doing and enjoy. So now, being able to just have fun and feel free, I am able to talk to kids and the parents and just enjoy myself and not be so cluttered in the mind. So I have noticed a very big improvement as far as just my outgoingness of everything.
That's really awesome to hear, because I mean, the contest is very obvious how
Yeah,
you're talking to kids, you're talking to people, you're present, you're there, and it
yeah,
was, I told you already how awesome that was, but just to
yeah,
like tell everybody else too. It's just like seeing the way you were to everyone else, the kids, the adults, whoever it was, other riders,
yeah.
like it was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. It's definitely something it takes a while. It's hard when you especially grow up in certain ways. Everyone grows up different, has a different story. But I've always just been a very to myself person from school and stuff like that. So I never expected my life to be where it was, but I had to really realize like, okay, I am getting to do this for a living, and a lot of people would love to be in this position. I need to be more grateful for it, or not. I am grateful, but show that I am grateful for it and not be so, oh, contest, competitive. It's more of a inspiring the youth and showing kids like, hey, you could be playing basketball right now, and if you want to become a hockey player, like just put your mind to it. And complete opposite things, but you could do it. Everyone, I hate when people say, oh, you were just born with that gift and everything, and it's like, you're not. Like, everyone's born, you just gotta focus on something. If you really have a passion, give it 110%. Don't look back until you realize, okay, I tried everything, I have to move on. And that was what my BMX career was going to be like. Okay, I couldn't make it, I tried, let's go see what I can do. That's got to be the mindset, I feel like, with most.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. Carl is watching. He said Jeremy was so respectful, people's champ. Oh,
Thanks, Carl. He's
yeah.
the people, actually. Man, that's cool. He does for that community and that town. Getting to see it for the first time, unreal. Like, that place was so amazing, and
I
they're so welcome, everyone.
Absolutely. I feel like more people just need to like see what it's all about, because you can get an image, like we said, on the internet.
Yeah,
You can get an image, but you have no idea like what the reality is.
yeah, exactly. And I see, Jacob Thiem rides there when he visits home, and I just know of that being his local park. I don't know Carl or his wife. I don't know anything behind the scenes besides, oh, it's just a local park he rides. Seeing it, complete opposite of what I would expect. It was the most insane thing ever. Like, honestly, as a kid growing up, as a rider now, like, it's very respectful what he does, and just keeping the facility up, doing it all on his own, like, that's huge. Like, it's a crazy thing for this time and age.
Yeah, man. I mean, the way I thought about it recently was like when you look at most of the people who are riding in that, and
Yeah.
most of the people who are spectating, just thinking about how many of those people would like not have anything to do with bikes or would have moved
Yeah.
on from BMX if it weren't for everything going on there, was like,
Yeah.
damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, even just having the local shop there, like way out there, having a bike shop that was bigger than any I've ever seen and been to. It's like, wow, okay, like it just shows right there. And he was hooking kids up with parts there, and he helped me out with some things. And Jacob, like I know he's helped out like a lot of people, and it's very cool. Like it's just awesome to have people in the industry that are willing to help and not just benefit from it. Like it's not always benefiting. Same with myself, like. Some pros just use things as like, oh, I need this, 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 this. I'm not going to do that because it's not getting me money. But it's really more about just presenting yourself. And, everyone's got to work hand in hand and help each other out to ultimately have the best life and career in the sport.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So going back to some of the like the mental stuff, how do you feel like being a dad has kind of helped that? 'Cause it has to have.
Yeah, it was more of for me, like growing up from 10 years old to now where I'm 26. I've learned so much in this just little span just because I've been traveling at young ages and experiencing different parts of the world. I was almost on such a high, just traveling, going, and then I have a child now. I was just turned 20, and for me it was like okay, like time for me to make that choice of like, okay, I got to have the career. I got to make sure I'm set up for him, make sure I'm a good role model for him as best as I can be. And everyone's human, makes mistakes and does things. And, it's a learning curve. Life's all crazy. And I'm still learning as I go every day. I'm like, dang, this is crazy. But it helped me tremendously having him, especially now at the age he is. He just turned 5 recently. So he's able to watch me compete, and he watches YouTube, so he knows some of the other guys and the riders. Ryan Williams, he watches his YouTube all the time. So it's cool to be like, I'm teammates with him, and he gets to kind of see this world and get into it at a young age, younger than I even got into it. So for me, it's huge getting to see him smile when he gets to watch me ride, or if I go to X Games and he watches me on TV, I come home and he's like, oh, like he gets to share that moment with me. And it's so much cooler than just me coming home before with a medal and hanging it on my wall and being like, all right, next year. Now it's like a celebration, I guess. You get to enjoy those moments of like him constantly randomly saying it, like, oh, you get to do this, or oh, get that golden pedal, do this, like have fun at your show. Like he knows what I'm doing, and it's so sick. It's such a cool experience.
That is pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
it's cool to hear the mindset shift that you had, not just because of having a kid, but also just like knowing that there's a future beyond like the immediate of what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Right then, okay, I gotta, whatever I thought what I was doing and I was comfortable, I now have to be double comfortable. I have to do more, and it helped me go to more shows, more events, me to not really sit around as much and try to experience different things. One was the triples contest. The reason I tried it, and you learn that something's not for you, and I was like, okay, I need to be out doing those as well because I have a kid and I need to do more and keep providing for him. So I tried those events. I snapped my wrist at the first one.
Ooh.
I snapped the collarbone at the second one. And I did another one. I think it was my ribs or something at another one. And right then I realized, okay, I literally gave it my shot, and maybe just right now in my time, it wasn't the time. So I've given myself 2 years now of no dirt, and I'm just focusing on what I've done. And then in a couple of years, I'll go back and try again. And probably next year, actually, I felt like with this whole new style and everything I'm doing and the new mindset, I do feel like I'm ready to go and just have fun. But before it was always, I have to do good here, so I have to send it. And I'd send it and get broke off. So now that's where the whole new mindset came of, you don't have to send yourself and get broke off. Enjoy the more time. What's up, dude? Speaking of the little man, came up.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like
Movie?
no worries.
Okay, no,
Well, just putting or not just anybody, or it can't be easy to purposefully take that pressure off of yourself? Like, I feel like a lot of people
No,
couldn't even do that.
it's hard, and it was very mentally tough for me for probably two. Once I my last crash, so I was in Japan. I'm going to X Games next week to Japan, and it'll be 1 year since I double snapped my collarbone. I had a plate in the collarbone already, and last year, same thing. I thought, okay, I need to be better every run, and I tried stepping it up, broke my collarbone, broke the plate, had to fly home. That was the most miserable experience of my life, probably. And after that, that was my third year in a row having a broken bone and getting a surgery, to where I was like, okay, something I'm doing is clearly not right. I could either give up or I just switch it. You know, you got to keep trying different things. That's life. So I did what I did. I switched my style. I thought about a different mindset. I've been working on it, and I really do feel a lot better now. Like, I've been healthy. I've been doing a much different routine. Trying to travel as much as I can in between shows and stuff, even just with my boy, even bringing him to California, Disneyland, stuff like that, just to keep myself knowing, like, okay, I'm still a human. I have a life, and there's more to just the crashes and stuff, because you get into a very big, I guess, mindset of mental, like, depression and stuff when you do get injuries, because you think, oh, my life is just bikes, 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 and then when it gets taken away, it really makes you go for a spin of, like, what do I do now? Like, what next? But I really always have to realize, you know what? No matter what, I still have my parents, I still have my girlfriend, my son, I still have all these other things that bring me joy. Like, why would I let myself get down for that? So that was the hardest thing for me to kind of get over. But now lately, it's been amazing, and I'm very thankful that I went through what I did, I guess, to kind of make that change in life.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you actually if there was anything outside of BMX that you do for fun.
Oh yeah. Here in Havasu, we have the lake right down the street, so I go on the boat a lot. Wakeboarding, mountain bike rides. We do e-bike rides all around the town every single night. I go off-road camping a lot. Lately, I started, like, just reading, like, little stuff on the side, just to kind of keep myself always busy, because I notice when I do get stuck sitting, it's my mind just
Hmm.
instant. Hey, what now? What now? What now? And I just need to keep myself slowed down a little bit so I don't have to always feel like that. And it has been lately, but I do a lot. I go to the soccer field with my boy. He's on a baseball team now, so between his practices and stuff, it's a pretty hectic life. It's always something going on, I feel like.
Sounds like you got a very nice, full, like, just good life going on though.
Yeah, it is very good right now. I feel like everything's where it should be. I'm in the right spot. I feel healthy and safe, so it should be all good. I feel like, as long as I keep sticking to that. We'll see this week. I'm making myself stay calm. Usually the week before an event, I start getting those butterflies. You start getting the anxiety of, like, okay, what are you gonna think? What are you gonna do? What's this? And this time I'm at the beach with my son, and I go ride at the local at night. And I'm trying to enjoy my time up to that event, and it's been great. It's been very, very helpful.
That is so sick. And I think anybody who has any kind of pressure that they put on themselves for
Oh
whatever it might be could
yeah,
benefit from just thinking or trying to think that way.
yeah, trying to just slow yourself down, realize there's a lot more out there, and there's little things you can do that will help the time not feel so crunched. And I guess it's the people you're around as well. You got to surround yourself with good people, and I have a very small circle, but the ones in it right now are like my best friends. They're basically my family. So I got Daniel Sandoval and Jacob Thiem up the street, literally 10 minutes from me. We hang out and ride every day. We go to the beach. We were just there a couple hours ago. And then my son and my girlfriend visits a lot too. So I get to see her. I get to see my son every day being here. It all works out very, very hand in hand. And it's cool to have a good group around you that keeps you moving forward.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious since you mentioned X Games, what are you riding in there?
I'll be in the park, and they're doing the Dave Mira best trick again, I
Nice.
believe. So it should be both of those.
Nice. Hell yeah. Are
Yeah.
you have you seen the course and stuff?
Yeah, they just released it a couple days ago. It looks actually sick. It says rideable, so we're gonna see. But there's a roof they built,
Yep.
like and it looks insane. If I could
It's a
think,
street spine. I'll pull it up.
when I seen it, I had a trick pop into my head, and I was like, if that's really rideable, this will be sick. So we're gonna see, but I'm stoked on how it looks. I love that they kind of interpret the culture into into the event
Yes.
specific to them.
Right
So it's a
here.
fun one for sure. And just Japan in general is such a beautiful country. I love going back there.
Yeah. I definitely got stoked when I saw the course as well. Just not only because there's a literal street spine roof, like it's straight up, it's a street spine and it's a roof and it's sick. But it also seems like the park is rather than them like trying to force a box jump into a bowl section or anything like that. It's like they have the dedicated bowl area that you could flow all by itself plus the box jump.
It's not cluttered. I love that. It makes sense. Like, you start with your box tricks, you can end with your box tricks, but you always, like, there's so much diversity in those courses that they build. Being a kid watching them, the Minneapolis stops and everything in Texas, watching X Games, they've always had such a unique course that's been just like, wow, like, look at that. Like, it's always a work of art when you see it in person for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to actually be a part of it now and see it and get to ride it and you're experiencing it. It's like nothing like you've ever seen. It's such a, I wish people could experience that. Like, you work hard for something, but you work hard for that. Like, you work hard to be able to walk out of that stadium and see the course and just think, wow, I'm here right now. Like, that alone is cool, just to be a part of it. So it'll always be a blessing to be riding and do that. But super sick courses.
Absolutely.
Really is designing them now, but top notch.
So do you put a lot of thought into like what you want to do leading up to it, or like what's that thought?
Yeah. I started Brant like recently, doing like a little where you just draw on the picture. I'll just kind of create lines, different colors, to show where I think the most speed would be. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always a little slower of a style riding scooters because I get a lot more pop from riding a scooter now on a bike. So I generally have been riding pretty slow, and lately I've been trying to go a little faster, trying to ride different. So yeah, I think on the airplane usually I'll sit and just kind of draw on it, think of tricks that I think would look cool on this or that, line choices. But then it's always different once you go up and you look at it. It's as if you've never seen the thing in your life. It's very weird how it works, but you kind of get taken back a second and you're like, what? That doesn't look anything like my but it's the same exact thing. You just gotta like get out of that little mental funk.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I mean, I can't relate to that, but I feel like we can all relate to the seeing like a picture of a spot or a skate park and you're like, oh, I would do that. I would do that, no problem. Then you get there and you're like, okay, maybe I wouldn't do that.
Quick to that of like, oh, you ride that park's so small, and then you go there and you're like, wow, that's a big box jump you guys ride every day, or the quarters or anything. You see someone do a transfer and you're like, that was that cool, and you go there and you're like, yeah, I wouldn't even jump it, so that was freaking cool.
Yeah. So you've competed in several of those best trick things, right?
Yeah, I've competed in 2 now.
So when you're doing those, do you have this moment of like, this is the trick I want to try?
Yeah, sometimes no. The first X Games at Pat's house, I had a trick in mind and I've wanted to learn it. So literally the day before, actually, I sat for a couple hours trying to learn this trick. Finally landed it once, and I was like, I think I have it good enough to where I got 4 goes. And hey, if I land it, cool. If not, I tried.
Mm-hmm.
And on the very last go, I pulled it, and it was the 540 double whip to bar spin on the quarter. I ended up getting a bronze medal for that, and I was over the moon, just thinking, wow, like, you don't even expect, you just expect to go and just be healthy and ride with everyone and have a good time, and then you end up getting something like that, and it's like, whew, it just makes everything such a different experience. The last X Games, going into it, had a little more pressure having a medal, like thinking, oh my gosh, like, I need to do this, but I tried to calm myself down, had the new bike, and I was like, you know what, I had a trick in mind, similar to the last year's one. I was going to add a whip, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to put the free coaster on, and I'm going to ride it, and I'm going to just do something completely different. And that one was a last minute. Daniel, a couple days before we left, we were riding the local, and he said, oh, it'd be sick if you could half cab flare back into a quarter as a joke.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that would be sick. And then sitting there looking at the quarter at the X Games, I was like, I wonder if I could do a half cab flare back into that ramp after a flare out. And last try, again, it worked. Don't know how. And it's just by the grace of God, you're like, wow, this is insane. Like, such a crazy feeling when it worked out finally. And you're like, yes. So now going into this one, a little less stress. I'm more of just ready to just have fun, be there, have a way better time than last year. I'm trying to get a little remake on it. I don't want to go down. So definitely just going to enjoy this one. But I've definitely already been looking at some things in the picture, and we'll see once we see the course how it is. But I'm excited.
Hell yeah. It's cool to hear that. How do you feel about the format of that best trick? Do you like the way it's set up with four attempts at it like that?
Yeah, and it's more timed, but you end up usually getting about 4 attempts.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a cool format of, hey, you try your trick and you don't land it, get out of the way, next guy drops in, and it keeps you so focused at the same time, because when you have to do it like a jam format where you have X amount of tries and you have to do them back to back, you really get in your own head and you start to think like, man, I'm ready to just give up, like this isn't working. But when you have other guys right before you finally land their trick, you're like, okay. I think right before it was crazy, but I think it was Kevin that was going right before me, and he is just a genius at riding a bike. And so watching him get to ride, landed every four tricks he landed. So it was just okay, like I got this, like just get in the mood and you got it. And the last one, I held on for dear life to just roll away. I didn't care if the bike snapped. I was going to roll away from that one. And I'm beyond stoked that it worked.
Hell yeah, man. That's really sick. And speaking of that trick, we can't do this without talking about one of these.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, bud?
This is my little man, Cameron. He's shy, but he's been watching live on the inside, so he wanted to come on out.
Hey, bud.
He's there.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, the pre has changed the game for me. And I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. I guess because I didn't know about those type.
Mm-hmm.
But riding a scooter, the fakies were always free coaster-ish. I did a flare to half cab flare on a scooter at a world's best trick actually one year. So it was kind of cool to be able to do it on a bike and use it as like, hey, I won a scooter event with this trick and I got a medal at the X Games on a bike on this same trick. So technically you can't really hate the scootering life, because I've never even thought of trying a half cab flare. Like it's just little things like that where people don't understand. But yeah, that hub has changed everything for me. I just enjoy riding now on it.
It's cool to hear the way you talk about it, because when you first messaged me and you were talking like as stoked as you were, I was like, man, that's really cool. But then to hear the follow up and it's like it's still the same excitement, it's cool.
Friday, and when people ride my bike, any kid I've had ride my bike has always said like, what is this? Like it's so crazy. There's no slack. You get the pedal pressure for manuals and 3 manual tricks, but you also can have the free coaster and you don't have to do the whole full crank back. And as riders, it's hard for us to land a trick and then within that split second remember to even do that. So then you land fakie and your foot would get slammed in the crank or something, and you're just like, there's so much to think about. And this eliminates all that. This just lets me, if I want to go forward, I don't even think. I just crank and it's already gauged. If I want to go backwards, I fakie and it's already free coaster. I don't have to even think for a second, remember pedal back, or remember do this, remember the slack. It's always just instant.
Yeah, that's the way I always have described it too, is it lets me just ride my bike. That's it. And
all the stress and worries of everything, and you just get to pedal.
Yeah, I had never even thought about it from the contest mindset or perspective, where it's like, yeah, you don't necessarily want to have to worry about disengaging or re-engaging in the middle of a run.
Yep, that's the last thing that I want to personally worry about. I want to land a trick and just know I'm cranking right now, and every inch is getting cranked. Like, it's not slow, and then you miss half a crank. If you're already going up the lip, you already missed all that now. So there's just so much stuff that you got to look at as a rider and how fast it happens. And you once you ride, you notice it. You notice, like, oh wow, like you do a trick and land, and your next ramp is right in front of you. You don't have time to sometimes even get your foot from the crank to the pedal or adjust. You have to just say, all right, I'm sending it like this, and hope it works out.
Yeah, that's such a cool way to think about it, and just eliminating one of the things that you have to think about while you're riding.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Heck yeah. I have a guest question here that I have to ask. A certain
Yeah.
Linda Malott, who's his favorite, mom or dad?
They both are amazing. They both have done everything for me. Me and my mom have a lot of laughs, and she brought me to some contests on the scooter and stuff before. My dad, they always try to stay involved. She wants a monster mini fridge more than anything. She's asked for forever, and I'm holding off until it's the time where I'm like, here, enjoy your mini fridge. But yeah, they both have done everything for me. They've helped me learn how to treat a child and raise one. Uh, more than supportive parents. Love them to death. Both amazing. So I can't really pick a favorite, but I got them both tattooed on my hand, so they remember it. They know they're both special.
That's amazing. I mean, dude, it's just, you got a good head on your shoulders. Put it that way.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. And since you brought up the tattoos, and I thought we should definitely talk about the tattoo stuff, because one of the things that you really focused on when we were just leading up to this and stuff was like just the fact that you want people to know that you're an approachable person. You're like a good dude. Just because you have tattoos doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and it's gotten so much better over the years. Like, tattoos now, I guess, aren't as frowned upon as they were. Of course, I started young. When I was 18, I had already gotten my throat done, and it was just more of a, for me, of like, I know what I want to do in life. I know I don't want to go work a desk job, so I set myself up almost for failure. But I knew that I have such a heart that I was going to succeed at whatever I do, and it wasn't cocky. It was more of just, no matter what, I will make it work. Like, I will do what I have to make that work, because that's the life I want, and I want to be able to have time with him and be able to just sit and do this and look at the sunset with him and do stuff like that, and not have to be so stressed on day-to-day life. So yeah, I started getting tattooed very young. It's all one big story now. It's my whole entire body from head to toe. A lot of family stuff, life things, changes in my life, just things I could look back at and reflect on. And I've always loved art, and I looked at, body as an empty canvas, and I never regretted one. So, but there's been, oh, he's a criminal, or oh, don't talk to him, or you don't want to look like that when you're older. But at the end of the day, they might not want to, and I feel like that's the kids, their choice. They don't like it, they don't have to get it. Like, if he didn't want a tattoo, I'm not going to pressure him to get one or not get one. It's just a way of expressing yourself in life, and I figured this was my way of expressing mine, and it gave me a unique look, I feel like. So I like to use it, and a lot of people nowadays have been very kind towards it, and they actually take the time to ask about them, and they'll talk to you, and then they say, oh, you know what, you're not the person I thought you were. And it is good to hear, but at the same time, you're like, dang, that sucks. Like, if I wouldn't have said something, they could have easily just been like, yep, nope, don't ever be like him. But I get it. No, you can't ever be perfect. Or you can't please everybody. People that dislike you, and you got to just accept it and be like, okay, that's fine. I'm not meant to be in your life,
Exactly. Do you have like everybody's gonna ask what the favorite one is, so is there like the list of like ones that you normally would point out when people ask that?
Yeah, my whole stomach piece is like it's a skull with the gates, like the heaven gates, and it says set him free, and it was for my dad's best friend Paul. He committed suicide. So, and then it also goes hand in hand now with my uncle Kevin, who committed suicide. Suicide's a big thing for me, so I have the whole piece is basically the evil that people go through with the skeleton, and then they always have in their mind, like on his head is where the the gates are.
Mm.
Clock on the top of time flies. So no matter what, there's always I guess negativity in life and stuff, but I chose to put it on my body as a remembrance of them. You know, everyone goes through something, and you never know what someone's going through. So you always got to just do your best, and that's where been my biggest thing lately is just as frustrated as I get, or even driving. If you get in a road rage, you know, you never know what that person's going through. So just leave it. I just look the other way now. I try not to let myself get worked up by it, because that person could have just lost someone or gone through something crazy, lost their job. You know, you never know. So nowadays I just try to treat everyone equal and just live your life happy, spread as much positivity as you can. So that one's definitely my favorite. It's just a big meaningful story for me with the family and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, the one that I keep staring at is the headdress one on your arm.
Oh yeah. And this was just more, so I have like a good side and a bad side, like
Mm.
the dark things that go through, like the no drugs, drinking, like stuff like that, where it's dark. And then you got the guy who's he's crying because
The
it's a bad time. And then on the other side, he's stoked because it's a good side. And like bringing light, opposite. Over here I have like a broken, or an XO. Over here I have a broken heart. So it's like the best of both worlds. You're always gonna have bad days, and you're always gonna have good days. It's the way that you kind of go out of those days is how you're gonna keep your mindset.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Huh.
a big mural, I guess. Now people
Yeah.
always say you have, or like that. I just look at it as literally one big piece. It's like a big painting to me, I guess now.
Yeah. Man, that's pretty sweet. So, if you had to put a number on it, do you know roughly like how many times it took to like do that?
I know that it's 177 hours
Okay.
total of tattooing. I have done numerous sessions. Sometimes they were a 4 hour session.
Right.
Sometimes it was my stomach was a 14-hour session of just just lay there all day basically, and you just get drawn on, and it hurts. But you know, at the end of the day, that was also like my thing was I liked not liked the pain, but I physically, if I was having a bad day or something, that pain like reminded me like, okay, like things are good, like this hurts, like what I just went through over here mentally doesn't hurt as much as this physically hurts. So like it was almost like a snap out of it. Like I got to endure that and then look at it at the end and see the product and be like, that's awesome. Like just watching it all come together and each piece kind of get filled in for me was just a cool way for me to kind of go through life and be like, ooh, this is cool. And now I have this little bit of empty space. Let me go see what I can think of and put there and fill that in. And just a big canvas, I guess.
So now that you're full, what do you do now?
Now I don't even ever think about it. It's nice. I have
That's
like,
cool.
it's not, yeah, everyone always thought that too. Oh, you're going to regret being done. But I mean, I'm stoked on everything I do have, and it's all one big story. So I really am not bummed that I don't have more room because my story is complete. I mean, my life story will never be complete, and I'm sure I can add. There's always space you can add over things and stuff if something pops up. But I just know for my body wise, seeing the skin just all covered and every limb that I look at of myself, I'm like, oh, cool. It brings me back to an exact day of like, damn, I remember that. Oh, I remember this. I remember this time. I remember this experience. And it's just cool for me to do that. So I never really look at the, oh, I'm bummed. I'm, if anything, glad that I'm young and can now just enjoy them instead of as you get older, they're going to hurt worse. So, and I've heard that too. So I'm good on getting them now.
Oh,
Sometimes I see getting them and I'm like, ooh, if I ever had to re-get my stomach again, I wouldn't, just because I know how it feels, the healing. So I'm happy.
well, it just shows that you did it for the right reasons.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
You're not
But
like,
I
oh damn it, it's full now. I can't get more tattoos.
can't get this now. I can't get this this other skeleton. I can't get that. I'm complete. So now I'm good. And if I see something cool, I'll screenshot it. Like I actually have a few tattoo ideas that I would have gotten, but now I just keep them in my phone and I just look at them sometimes and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I added one on my helmet. It's like a little cross with my son's initials that go through it. So instead of getting it tattooed, I was like, hey, I got room on my helmet. They airbrushed it on the front, so now I have my son every time I see a photo in an event or something, I'll see his initials and be like, cool, that's cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. Do you want to talk at all about the straight edge stuff?
Yeah, that's fine.
What's your mindset with that?
Just growing up, my dad, same, like he drank, but never. It was like a beer a year. Like anytime we'd be camping, he'd be like, "I'm having my annual beer with his buddies," uh, and he always just tried to teach me like, "Hey, like this is the stuff that yeah you can enjoy, but don't overdo it." And I, as a kid, was just like, "I'm just not gonna do it. I'd rather." I was very happy with what I was doing. I woke up every day going to ride very early, or I'd go travel. So I never really even had that like urge to want to try it, even after parties or anything at an event. I just was like, I'm more content just kind of sitting in my hotel room, just kind of feeling everything. Because after an event, you have so many emotions that go through you, especially if you do bad, if you do good. Like you're always trying to think, and I instead of going out and just forgetting about those things or taking time to reflect, like we'll just go mask it with a drink or something. I was always the one that wanted to kind of sit back and be like, okay, what could I do different, or how did I do, or I even will watch footage from the event or something. So I've always been like that, and then now, especially having a son, I never was like, oh, I need a drink. Like I just enjoy every second I get, and just life's a constant travel. I feel like with all the shows and contests I do, I'm constantly going, so I don't even feel like I have time to drink or anything, or else I know I'll wake up and I won't be able to snap into it again, especially waiting this long.
Yeah. So you've never done anything before?
No, I mean, as I've had like a few drinks of something before, like whether it was my mom's little, like
Mm.
the fruity drinks or something, but just I was never I just never got it. Like I was a fan of going out to a bar or doing any of that stuff. I was always just to myself. Kind of would rather hang out with friends. I go ride by myself sometimes. I'll go sit at the bridge at night and just kind of look at the bridge, look at the lights, try to focus on staying calm as much as I can, rather than I already know the type of personality I had before with how much I'd get in my head. I didn't think that that would help at all. So I knew it was something I should probably steer away from anyways with how I was as an individual.
Huh. Yeah, I'm actually myself never done anything ever before.
Oh, okay.
So
Heck yeah.
it's interesting to
It,
talk about.
it's rare for people to say that, and especially to say you've never tried it at all. Like it's crazy, but I always hear people say like, "Oh, well, good for you." Like no
Hmm.
matter, yeah, I commend you for that. Like that's hard. And I know like my parents enjoy. I can tell that it means a lot to them as well. You know, I have a example to set for kids, and I was put in this position, and I was given this position, thankfully. So I might as well use it as best as I can to promote that and tell kids, you know, it's better things to do than drinking and stuff like that. But there's always, again, there's the right time for you to do it, and you can enjoy drinks and stuff. We're totally fine.
Yeah, yeah. People do it
But
every single day.
yeah, and even the people that I have, one of my best friends, he loves going out to bars and pubs and experiencing that, and I would never talk bad about him. That's his life, and I enjoy being around him, he around me. Oh, sorry, I don't know
You're
what
good.
this is.
Pausing 1 second, and he's back.
But
Yeah, yeah, I'm totally the same way. I'm not gonna ever like
yeah, I would never
having.
gotten judged enough to where like I know like again people go through things. Some people enjoy doing that, and some people can ride fine drinking. Some people can't. Like I don't really judge people on that. As like if they want to go do that, that's on them now. I just kind of stick to my own lane, and I know what makes me happy and what makes me feel like I can ride my best or be my best. So now I've been focusing on that, and never really should be the one to judge anyone.
That's yeah, and if everybody was like that, it would be a whole lot
It'd
calmer
be
and better of a world.
yeah, crazy world for sure. It'd be a dramatic change, but that's fine. There's always going to be people's thoughts and their point of view on things.
Yeah, man. And in this whole tattoo conversation,
Yeah.
I have to ask, do you think that there are BMX powers in neck tattoos? Because I
uh,
swear to God, the people who have them are just the best.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Some people, for me, I loved it. Like when I got mine done, it was the coolest. I just loved seeing that. Like always in there, no matter what I wear, I always see that. And that's always people's number one thing is they're like, they look right down and they're like, oh, wow. Like, I love your neck tat. Oh, wow. You got your neck tat. That's awesome. And I have always loved the look. Some people don't. I know Logan Martin, good friend. He won't do the neck because of that. Daniel Sandoval, he loves the look of it. He has been getting blasted, but again, it's not for some people.
Mm-hmm.
There's the little one on the side or on the back. There's just, it fits a different style. For me, I definitely as a power wise, I feel like it gave me more of just like a boost of like, this is sick. Like, I just feel like cool when I see it. It makes me happy. It makes me smile every time I look in the mirror. So, yeah, it gives me like maybe a boost of like confidence or something. Leaving the house, I'm like, cool. Like, I feel good now. Like looking at that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
There was something in the chat a while ago that I didn't have a chance to say anything about till now, and I don't know if you know this person or not, but Gianna Galazzi said we are your biggest fan.
That's my girlfriend.
Okay, yeah, I don't know these things, but that's funny.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, she's inside. She's watching it with little man. So.
Oh, okay.
They're probably having a war back and forth on what do we say? What can we tell them?
That's great. Oh, so, what's riding locally like for you right now?
Locally, it's big. Not the scene really. Like BMX is still pretty small here, but our skate park that we have, it's 3 minutes away from my house, and it's right on the water. Could not get any more beautiful, like with the sunsets behind it, and it is the same people that build X Games courses are the ones that built it, California Skate Park. So amazing facility. They have everything you can use. They have a street plaza at the bottom. They have a more of a deep bowl for the vert skaters, so everyone has something that they can ride. All the kids are cool. Everyone gets along. And then in Daniel's backyard, he built the big training facility just around a year and a half ago now. And we ride that, and that has the Resi box, the Resi quarters, the 10-foot quarters. So if we're going to a big event, we'll ride that usually a couple weeks before. And then if we have an X Games or something, we stick to the local morally because you kind of want to get used to riding concrete. And that's also helped me a lot. Is when I grew up, my whole first years riding, it was all concrete. Like I never really got to ride wood or Resi a lot. It was all just try it here on this local park and see how it goes. So when I did ride a wood park, that to me made me feel so confident because it was almost as if I was riding a Resi at that point. It felt so soft, squishy. I knew, okay, if I take a body on a concrete, this is gonna be way easier for me. Like I'll just bounce up on the wood. So just mentally wise, it gave me that push of like, okay, cool. Like I ride concrete all the time to where now some people come here and they're like, dude, we have no idea how to ride this because we're so used to the sticky wood and the Resis. Now we're slipping on dirt, dust infested natural concrete in the desert. That's very hard to get used to, but for me, we've acclimated to it now and it's helped us.
Yeah, man, I went to Craig Ranch when we went out for Interbike one year, and I was just like
slip. My
Yeah.
first time there, drop in, I slipped it out, hit my head, and I was like, wow, it's such a different experience riding an outdoor concrete park. And then you get used to that, and then you get used to trusting how fast you can carve. And now people watch us ride that park, and they're just like, how do you guys get away with that? But you learn it as you ride it. So we ride it every day, every night. So you build up a tolerance to it, and you know, okay, I gotta lean this way, not like that, and you kind of get adjusted to it.
It's definitely its own thing in riding to be able to ride like that. It's like it's
yeah, and especially even like comparing it, I was just in Oregon doing shows, riding like an Oregon park or riding a park in Nebraska. Their concrete's all just uncured, so it is very. And then parks for some reason around the U.S., like around Arizona, Vegas, they're all like very coated. Like they made it look very presentable, but it is very slippy. Like it's like you're riding on glass.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't know, you got to really adjust. A couple of the guys that come first couple drop-ins, they slip out bad, and it's like, how did that even happen? We're like, yeah, we tell you, you got to really.
Yeah. I feel like everything I've ever heard about Havasu is just like that is such an amazing place.
Yeah, it really is. It's so small. Everyone gets along. Everyone's cool. Like anywhere I go around town, it's always like, oh hey, everyone's friendly. Everything's super close. Like the furthest I have to drive is Walmart, and that's 10 minutes away.
Mm.
And the lake is right here. To take my boy to the lake or go on the boat, or everything just feels very safe here. I could trust him being at the skate park with me and not have to constantly be like, where's my son at? Like, keep an eye on him. Like, I trust everyone in the town. It's such a friendly little place, and it's just like a paradise when you're not traveling. I love sitting here and just enjoying the sunset or the lake, the little bike rides, stuff like that it offers as well.
Yeah, that's cool. I've also heard that the fishing in that lake is wild.
Okay, I'm not a big fisher. I've never really done it. I did like a couple times with just the boys, but never really gone on a boat or anything. But they do have a fishing tournament that they do here every year. That's a very big one.
Yeah.
They have races that come here, and the jet ski world finals are here. So like so much stuff that they do in this town also that it feels like every week there's something, and you get to just go watch a motocross race, or you get to watch the freestyle guys do flips under the bridge. There's always something going on in this town. You just got to be out and find it.
Huh, is the weather just that good all year round?
It is, it's gorgeous. Like our winter is like, it gets cold to us, but it's in like the 50s.
Yeah,
like
you can just whatever.
Right now it's like 76. Very calm outside, and that's usually our summers get really hot, like in the 120s. But you have a lake right there, so you can't really complain. You can always escape the heat, stay inside, go to the pool, go to the lake. So it's a cool place. I've loved it ever since I moved here. I've never wanted to go really anywhere else.
Yeah. Is the heat like I mean, everywhere has their like thing, like Florida and that area's got hurricanes. In Ohio, we don't really have a lot. There sometimes might be a tornado here and there, but like, is the heat the thing?
Yeah, for Havasu, it's definitely heat. I think we have like the world record high of is like 131 or 132.
Jeez.
Every summer it seems like someone has a viral video here of like cooking an egg on the street, like one of those videos. But yeah, definitely heat wise, that's what we're known for. Every time I'm like, oh, I'm from Havasu, they're like, oh, then this weather's nothing to you. That's every time I have a conversation, it's that. It's like, oh, your guys' heat, or oh, the freaking weather there.
Yeah.
But you get really like used to it. Like the first 2 years for me were hard. Like I was like, wow, this is crazy. But now I go anywhere else and I'm like, no, I miss that heat. Like you're almost like I feel like I'm a lizard. Like I just heat, and I just love being in the sun.
Huh.
And riding too, because you go to some events, Saudi Arabia, you go anywhere and it's hot, but hot to them, hot to all the other guys that live in England and everything like that, where it's cold. Us, we're used to the 100 and something degrees, so when we go somewhere, we're like, oh, this is nothing, and they're just like, what? How is it not hot for you guys?
Yeah, that's wild. Huh. Another thing that was in the chat, I forgot, I should have mentioned it when I mentioned before, but the username Salty BMXer said he's known your dad for like 40 years, and he's a cool guy.
Oh, heck yeah. My dad he is a great guy. He's always going out of his way to try to do stuff in the BMX world. You could probably ask any of the pro guys. He's always trying to message them. I always will catch him commenting on some of the guys' stuff before I even see it. And I'm just like, oh, cool. Like, it's cool to have a dad that actually wants to be involved and not just because he has to. He willingly wants to, and he loves wearing the shirts that I get or the shoes or the hats. Like, he's a big supporter, and he just wants to support how his son's getting supported. And it's great. It's cool for me, especially having a son now, because I'm like, I see that now. As a kid, I always look past it. You never realize what the dad does for you or what your parents do until you're a parent, and you start to really slow down, and you're like, wow, like they did everything. Like, oh my gosh, they took me hours and hours and hours, spent numerous amounts of dollars just to see me try to succeed at what I wanted to do. So now that it did work out and I'm able to get my dad monster gear, like take him to a contest, he got to go to X Games for the first time this last year. And it was just so crazy to be able to have a full circle, I guess, like that, and have that support and see him there and just loving life. And he gets to hang out with the guys, and you watch him just wander off, and you're like, wow, that's so sick that he just wants to go do that. He just wants to do it on his own.
Yeah, that is pretty sick.
So yeah, he's a great guy. Thanks for saying that, salty BMX.
Not very salty of you.
Yeah, it doesn't seem salty.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just cool to hear like kind of your story and kind of more of who you are.
Yeah, and that's why I tried doing the YouTube stuff for a while, just to get that image out there, even if it was a few videos. If a kid ever goes and finds it, maybe they'll watch it and be like, oh wait, he's presentable. You can approach him. I had so many kids at shows, they'd see me and you could tell they'd look and be a little intimidated or scared. So I tried to do some videos where it was, hey guys, talking to them. They get to see like, oh, you know what? And then I had a lot of kids come up after that and they would say, oh, I watched your YouTube video and like I watched this and like I never knew about this. And you're like, yeah, that's what that's for. But it just got so hard being a contest rider and trying to do the YouTube. It was so stressful doing it on my own. But as time goes on, I definitely would like to get back into it, but more of like have a filmer, have an editor, have someone kind of be behind the scenes that gets to travel with me, and I could show that experience of things, because a lot of people also see us go to X Games and they just see us compete on TV. They don't get to see like how we got there, the hotel situation, what we go through getting to an event, or eating wise, having to find something that you can eat that's not going to like ruin you, you know, like there's a lot going into it that people don't see. So I would love to have that kind of view of almost like a follow me journey, you know, that type of video where they get to see the whole process from start to end of like, wow, he didn't just appear there, drop in, and then get home. Like he had to go through quite a bit to do all that, and it is stressful.
Oh yeah, and if you're gonna be hiring someone who that's just what they do, it's going to be so much more of like, you're a professional BMX rider, not a professional video creator.
I had to learn how to edit and learn how to like hold the camera. So like if I had someone that just knew how to point the camera, knew what to get, I didn't have to say something and then be like, ooh, that'd be good to film. Let me go try to re-say it, but with that exact expression. Mm-hmm. It's so natural. Like when you watch the guys that just do videos and it's just almost like they never hit stop and they just cut. And that's what I want, is just something where it's so raw and just naturally original. Like you don't have to, like be some fake person and create something. It's, hey, that's how it just happened right there. And he just showed it and he didn't have to take the time to grab the camera. It was just all done, set in stone. I got to do my job and I didn't have to worry about that job.
Yeah. So I'm very lucky in that, being a video,
like everything, right?
A professional video creator is like, that's what I learned. Like, so I already have that insight, and I never fully put it together. Like I always looked at it as like, okay, I've got a leg up on like people who are doing this in that, just like I already know the programs, I already know how to make really good videos, but I never even thought about it from the perspective of like capturing things and that side of it. So it's cool. And I think when you do that whole experience of like capturing the entire behind the scenes and everything and doing it in the raw, natural way because someone else is filming it, it's going to be really cool.
Before let me turn the camera on and then say it. It's just, you just go about the day. Like if at the Nebraska contest, if someone was behind you or behind me with a camera all day and just got all the natural talks and the hangouts with the kids and all that, that's what's real. And that's what I would like to see. So I hated putting something out where I had to like, oh wait, before you guys have me sign this, let me grab my camera. Like it just felt like it was too forced at that point, and I lost the whole natural aspect of it. So it made me kind of want to stop and say like, yeah, YouTube's not my thing right now until I have a video, like something where it's like that, where I don't have to worry about that aspect and it's all done for me.
Yeah, and I think when you do start that up again, you'll put that energy of, oh wait, let me start the camera, into the camera's recording right now, so I can just turn around and be like, hey, so check
Yeah,
this out. This is
I
what's
can stay
happening.
that I'm in. I don't have to keep switching back and forth. I can just go throughout my day, say what I want, say to the kids, go anywhere, and it's just I know he is he knows his job and he is on it, and I don't even have to question it. Like, did you get that? Did you get this? I just would get the video and be like, wow, like masterpiece, thank you, and then keep moving like that. That'd be the best way.
I don't
So
know. I mean, Scotty used to cover going to events and stuff, but it was not quite to the level you're talking about. I don't know if has
yeah.
anybody ever done it to the level you're talking about?
No, and even so, like Nick Bruce had a
Yeah.
blog for a while that I watched, and it's always, even for me, I loved watching them because you get to see their like I don't know him, what he does on his off time, so it's cool to see like what he goes through and what he does. But yeah, same thing. It was more of a point of view. Like, we held the camera, we would talk, we'd put it down. If we wanted a riding clip, we had to kind of, hey, would you mind stop riding real quick and film me real quick? And then you just felt weird. Like, I always hated taking someone from their session to film me. I'm like, I want to just have everyone riding, and that person that's filming, they don't ride, so they're not. Oh, I wish I was riding. No, I'm stoked to be filming, and this is my thing. So, besides Nick, I know,
Brian Fox did a little bit, but it was
yeah,
similar.
Dennis does some YouTube stuff now too. I've been enjoying watching his, where he just riding with the homies, and again, you get to see those sessions. You don't get to ever see us train unless you're fortunate enough to be at a park that we randomly stop at and ride or something like that. So it's cool to have them video it and show like, wow, those are top guys just playing a little game of bike in a backyard, and we would never have seen that because usually they would just post a picture of it and say, we did a game of bike and it was dope. Like, I won or this person won. And then it was like, oh, cool, they did a game of bike. I wonder how that went.
Mm.
Now it's like, oh, we get to watch that, and you get to see them laugh and smile and have good conversations and just enjoy riding. And that's what's cool, I think, as a kid, to be like, wow, like, they're genuinely just having fun riding, doing their thing. They're not just, like we always are competitive. Like, there's always a competitive time, but for the most part, when we ride the local park or something, we're chill. Like, we're very calm and just there to just have fun.
Yeah, it's sort of Chad was doing that a little bit with
Yeah,
his YouTube
backyard. Now that I think about it, that
because
game of
he
bike.
had somebody filming that I don't know if they wrote or not, but they were filming as a dedicated filmer. And even if Chad was filming like his X Games or whatever contest
Yeah,
experience, can you imagine how sick it would be if it was like you and Dennis and Chad and you guys are your people can see a contest like X Games or whatever it might be from these
but
three different perspectives?
exactly, and that's what I would love to do. But that's the part where when you are at those events riding, I don't even think about drinking water. Sometimes you don't think about anything. You're just thinking, they're telling you, hey, camera starts here. You got to be over here, get in your spot. So if you just had someone that could do it and film it all and, piece it together, and you could do some talking in there, and that shows like, damn, even during X Games, because during the practices and even the event, we're all so cool with each other and
Mm.
like hyping each other up. And you don't see that on the camera. You just see like the competitive face. You see us in the trick, and then it switches to the next guy. You don't see the hugs and the aftermath that comes from it. So that would be very cool to have, and I think more people need to see that part of it as well. Of like, wow, they're competing against each other, but they're also homies, they're family, they're just genuinely friends and just enjoying the time together that they get to ride and do this event together. We're not all, oh, forget him, I'm gonna beat him, I'm gonna beat like. At the end of the day, anyone can beat anyone. It's just we all ride bikes, we all have fun doing it, and we're all making a living doing that. And it's a cool world to be in. Like, I'm stoked with everything.
Man, you got my brain turning because I feel like this whole concept is the kind of thing that like could put BMX out there on a whole different level if it caught on. Like what happened to
Yeah.
Scotty really sucks. But
Yeah.
but he was reaching a crowd outside of BMX.
X, and he was bringing people into the sport that just genuinely didn't even know about it. And thanks to him and the way he presented it and said it, he is the best person to say it too. He's such a genuinely kind person and has
Mm.
the best heart. He's always willing to help someone. There's so many people like that in BMX, and I just wish they got more love for that. Jamie Bestwick, another one, like him being the legend that he is. As when I grew up watching X Games, it was him. I would watch him on the vert ramp. I'd watch guys like that when I was little, and then they're now coaches, and now I get to meet them, or we ride and they see us, and he is some of the nicest things to me that I've ever gotten. And as to me, then it was like, wow, thanks so much. But behind closed doors, I was like, holy shit, like that was Jamie Bestwick saying that, or Scotty Kramer, or all these legends that come up. And it's such a cool world, and everyone is so kind and humble for the most part. And yeah, we definitely need more views of that, because we are looked at as like, I mean, skaters, bikers, we're looked at as like, oh, maybe just some punk kids that just are fortunate enough to ride a bike. They're pretty decent and they get paid by these companies and they travel. But really, there's a lot of good dudes. Like some of the best dudes I've ever met are the BMX guys, and you would never know that as an outsider. Like I never had any clue of that until I was with them.
Or people just don't think about it. It's just, oh, there's BMX rider, boom, I continue my day.
Yeah, you see them on TV and you're like, oh, good for them. Later, next channel. Or oh, a good tennis player. Later, next channel. Soccer player. Like there's so much more behind the scenes. It's not just, hey, we're this good, let us just ride. Like there's training, there's working, there's things that other guys have to do. Like we're not all the same. You know, everyone grew up different, went through something different to start.
Man, that's such a good idea. And I think if like someone like you starts that, and then if maybe a couple other people do the same thing, it could start like a domino
of like, and because some people might not like me and they like Logan, and some people might not like Logan, they like Nick, or they like Pat, they like Kat. Like so many different, if everyone had their own little thing, you could choose that. Like I could say, hey, I want to see what he's up to, or I want to see what this guy's up to. And then, you know, it's so cool to be able to do that with the world. We have the internet, and we were given that for like, why have everything negative? Like all we see on the internet is, oh, this, you know, fatalities, like stuff that's bad is all what's thrown into your internet. To where I'm always looking for like, what's cool, what's good, like what out there is going to motivate me to go have a good day. You know, it's always so negative, and it helps us be negative in the mind. So yeah, more guys doing that would be sick, just to have, hey, I like these 3 guys, I'm going to go see what their trip was like to Japan. And then you just got a whole different insight of that person of like, wow, like that's so cool to see how he travels compared to how he travels. Like this guy might do this guy might hate that, but do this. And it'll show everyone's different. We're not all just the same biker.
And when people are traveling, like you're not gonna all be doing the same thing outside of the contest. Like, like you're gonna go see other stuff.
Yeah, sometimes some of the guys you see at the event and you're like, oh, I forgot you were even here. Like you guys were doing a hike today while we were at the beach, and then while you guys were doing this, we were at a zoo. Or like, you know, we do so much stuff, sightseeing. There's so much stuff that you do that we only end up seeing a picture on Instagram or something like that, but you don't get to see all the laughs that were had during that trip when there was a group of like 20 of us walking through Japan. You don't see that and all the conversations and the fun that was had riding through the streets. You just see the picture that we all took, and you think, oh, cool, they must have all just randomly ran into each other and took a picture. But no, we spent the whole day together doing stuff, sightseeing, and it's a cool thing to see behind the scenes. And it would be very cool to show the other kids, because when I grew up in the sport, if I saw things like that, it would have helped me even more be like, yes, that's what I want to do. Like I want to be in that whole group. I want to be a part of that, not just like I want to go to an X Games, I want to go to this, I want to be at this event. Like I just want to genuinely just be around the people. They're just cool to have sessions with. Even if when I go to California, Andy Buckworth's house, and he has all the guys over, it's just cool to have a session like that where we're all just enjoying riding. There's no, oh, I'm better. At the end of the day, it's just whether he did a tail whip or he did a 1080. We're just stoked to be there and support each other. And we all ride, and some of us ride for the same companies. So yeah, it's like friendships, bonds, family.
Yeah, man. And I think it just shows, like what you're saying, just more than just the riding side of things. And lets people know that like that experience of X Games or whatever it might be is more than just showing up and riding and then leaving. Because what we see from the TV experience of it is like, it's just
can
Event
only
after event after event.
small percent of like what like just from that last X Games with the attempts and everything that I went through and how everyone went through. Like it was insane how much people were putting their lives on the line for a trick or something, and then all you saw was that one trick that they landed. You didn't see all the behind, and Mike Varga literally bent his bike to where it was not even rideable, but is able to drop in somehow, break his wheel to just barely give him enough room to do one more, and he lands it. But all you see is that land. You don't see that like he sat there while everyone else was going, sitting there with a hammer hitting his wheel, and like his girlfriend helping and the people helping, and just so much people in the scenes. Even the riders were jumping out. Hey, what can I do to help? Do you need a wheel? Like so much cool behind the scenes stuff you would never see. You just think, oh, he must have had a spare bike, or oh, he just landed that trick. They didn't know he did that on a broken bike, literally.
Dude, that is one thing. That 1260, I think it was, did not get the proper love and attention that it should have.
That's insane to watch that, and even think that you just watched it and especially on that ramp of all the ramps.
1, 2, 3.
You start to wonder, like, what would that feel like? Because, like, I know what a 1080 feels like, but I don't know how to yank off of a quarter pipe and stay straight. Like, there's so much different people say that, like, oh, well, I could 1080, so that can't be that. But it is not even close to the same thing. Like, pulling on a quarter and just being able to spin like that people don't even understand that quarter was only, I think, 8 feet wide, maybe 10. That's a very small space that you have to stay. You're doing that many spins.
3 spins.
Very straight, or else you're going off the side of that ramp. They don't look at that. It's crazy. All the things that you don't see or you don't think of, it's crazy when you actually put it all down to the last wire of, wow, he did it not only with that circumstance, but all the other stuff. There was wind, there was everything. Everything comes into the play.
Dude, I don't even like doing 540s below coping. Like, that's once. Yeah. That's one time. Imagine 2 more. And, like, I can't even fathom where my brain... Because I'm just imagining, like, how lost my brain gets if I'm just standing there and try and jump and spin in a circle, like, not even on a bike. Now, you're on a bike. You're 10 feet above the coping, whatever it has to be to get 3 spins around, spinning 3 times in a 2-second period of time.
To us it feels like a blink. Like any trick that you do, you'll like the same for me. Like I didn't even know I had time for the bar in that contest until I was like, I don't think it's possible. And you watch it in slow-mo and you almost forget. You're like, what? There's no way you have that much time, because when we do tricks, even whether it's 10 feet out or it's a foot off the ground, it always feels the same. Like we never feel like we have time. It's always just a rush. Get that trick done. Like you don't know how much time you have until your wheels hit that ground and whoa, I landed it, or you didn't. Like that's all I know, at least for myself.
That's wild. That's the cutting edge right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely a big mental thing of you got to be willing to push it and have that heart to just send it, and you might go down. Hey, we all go down. I went down on a trick that I practice every day in X Games, and it took me out for half of a year. And it's just, no matter what trick it is, no matter what you're doing, it can always get you, and you always got to be focused. As my dad always tells me, is focus. No matter what it is, a bar spin, focus. It's always the little things that are going to get you.
Yep. It's the dumb things.
Literally, yeah.
It's always the dumb, stupid little trick that hurts you the most.
Yeah, it is. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it works. You become so fast in your mind and you forget how hard where you started, how hard a bar spin was when I first started riding. Now I'm like, oh, it's a bar spin. I'll just add it real quick. But it's still that same trick you had to learn one day, and it can come back and bite you just because you can do it every day. It does not mean every time is going to be perfect. People trip walking, and we walk our whole life, It's little things that you don't really think until you're like, oh, wow, everything is scary. You just got to be willing to put yourself through it and send it.
Yeah, man. So is there anything that you've been working on trick-wise that, like, you haven't been able to get yet or anything like that recently?
There's a trick that I've wanted to do, same thing since scootering, and now like doing the half cab flare, it really helped me think about it. But there's a trick where I would love to do basically a half cab flip to fakie, but almost do find like some sort of waterfall type ramp, or even just go into the quarter, but fakie and then flip into the quarter, but land back into fakie.
So you're just faking and then do a backflip?
Fakie, flip, land back in transition, and fakie down that ramp instead of flaring to land straight. You would just stay fully flipped.
How far do you need to drop to be able to do that?
That's where you don't know until, like, for me in the X Games, that was only a 5-foot quarter to do the half cab flare. And for me, it was scary because when I do flip drop-ins, it's always been an 8 or a 7-foot quarter, you know, so I knew I had time to get a flip drop-in. Now you're going fakie and you're using that momentum to yank back, but it's only a 5-foot quarter, so you're going to land lower. You're going to have a lot of force coming in. But I got the half cab flip around on a 5-foot. I definitely would like to do more of like a box landing, so I could land in a bank instead of, you know, gosh forbid, just over rotate a flip to fakie. But it's all about you find that right ramp and that right time, and it will click in your head of, yeah, I'm all right, I'm doing it here. Like, it's got to be the time. And that for me was the time to have flare. I'd never tried it. I'd never tried to even fakie flip to a foam pit on a bike, but I just said, hey, it doesn't get better than this ramp right here, and it's X Games, and there's a lot on the line, so that's where you got to say, I'm going to go for it. Or I could have played it safe, and I might not have gotten something. I might not have got a medal, but, you know, it's always what if. You know, I don't ever want to be the one like, oh, what if I tried that and it worked? I'll try it. And it worked, and it thankfully helped me. So got to keep working up. But yeah, that's a trick I want to do. Just timing. It's got to be the right timing. Definitely an edit has got to be involved. I don't want to just Instagram that one. That's got to be like either a production or like you know, another contest where, like, hey, like, you never know. I could pull up to Japan and say it's happening there, and then that's when it clicks to me. Is all right, I'm sending it. Here we go.
Yeah. Your mom said that was a great choice of trick. 100 emoji, fire emoji.
Thanks, Mom.
That's so awesome. That's one thing too about you, though, is that you're one of few contest riders that will do edits.
Yeah, and I think it just stopped recently because, I mean, even me, I post on Instagram almost every day, and it's always like people say, dude, you could have put an edit. You could have put that in an edit. But we get so wrapped up riding every day and filming so quick that it's like, I forget. And I'm like, I forgot. Like, I could have saved that for an edit, but I just did it now. So I don't want to just sit on it. And you start to just post stuff. And I think Instagram just kind of took over that. But I still every year try to do an edit. I have one that I want to kind of pitch just to kind of end the year on another edit as well. And even if it doesn't get the views, at least for me, I get to look back on those. That's stuff that my kid will get to show his friends and say, hey, look at my dad did a video with this, or did a video for Monster, or did something, you know, cool. And it'll forever be on the internet. Like, I get to go back and show people. So I genuinely love doing edits. Now with the new bike and the new style and everything, there's so much potential that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so many fakie tricks that I want to do. I have so many part tricks that I want to do. There's so much that you can improvise now to where it could be, I could add street clips, I could add, you know, park clips, I could add a bowl clip, I could add anything. And it's so versatile. Not just whips and bars, just whips and bars. There's more to it now, I feel like, for me.
Yeah, and I kind of felt like when it came to the contest riders and edits that it at least in my mind, it made sense that, like, if I was a contest rider, I might not necessarily want to make an edit and do my best in an edit, because then I'm showing my competitors, the people that are literally about to ride against me, exactly what I can do.
Of course, yeah. And that's definitely something that I think about still, but at the same time, like, the edits, I look at more of just like for the art of it, you know, like the editing and all the stuff that goes into that edit. Like, right. I just love how it turns out to be like a movie rather than just a bunch of clips just pieced together and then you just upload it. there's a lot that goes into it, the B-roll, the fun, like the trips that you get. When I look at an edit, when I watch one of my old edits, I just think of the time. I'm like, oh, on that day, it wasn't just that clip that I got. We drove through certain part of Utah or something, and it was just we got to see a cool rock cliff or something. Like there's always such a cool trip to be had while filming, and that's what's cool for me is I'll challenge myself, to do different things that I wouldn't generally do in a contest. More tricks along that nature or different lines and stuff like that.
I think you have a style that lends very easily to making an edit too, like with what you said with like the street aspect of it, and now having this free coaster, you can just do so much different stuff.
Just have up a beyond handful of tricks that I do daily now, like the fakie stuff I do daily and the flip fakies, just how effortless it makes them to where now I'm thinking, oh, I need to add to it and do the half cab flip or like anything like that. It's just so much that you can grow just by doing one simple change. So that's what's keeping me busy, at least, and keeping me fresh and enjoying riding and not getting burnt out or anything.
That makes total sense. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
I keep looking over at this course, and I just realized that I might have seen something that you might do. I'm not going to say it, but I saw something that was like, wait a minute.
Text it to me after.
Yeah.
We'll see something. There's a few things that I saw where I was like, oh, I hope that this lines up.
This is definitely one of those. And I saw like,
that's sweet.
Oh, which way do you spin?
To the left.
To the left. Oh boy. Yeah, as soon as this ends, I'll say it. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I feel like we definitely like covered a lot of just stuff. Is there anything about you or anything that you feel like we didn't really talk about today?
No, I think that covered everything. I mean, that was exactly what I would expect in a podcast, getting to know someone behind everything or their view on it or why I ride bikes, not just I ride bikes. There's a reason why and there's a reason for everything. If there's a last thing I could say, it could be to the kids, anyone watching, even if you're an adult, like it doesn't really matter what age you are, but if you have a passion, you like doing something, if it makes you happy, then that's all that matters. People talked down on me as a kid growing up because of what I wanted to do and all the things I said I wanted to be. And because I stuck to it and I continued to say, you know what, get them. They're just not meant to be in my life. Then I'm going to keep doing my life, do what I want and keep the friends I have. I had a very small group, but now those ones get to see me living my dream, since I was a kid, I dreamed this. So it's sick to see that, share it with people, share it with my family, my friends. So yeah, there's never a time when you can't make a choice to switch up and start something new. Even tomorrow, you could wake up and say, all right, I'm going to start giving this 100%, whether it's art, drawing, reading, being a better person, quitting smoking, quitting that, like whatever it is, like it's possible. You just got to have that mindset of you can do it and you're willing to go through everything it takes to get it.
And don't wait on anyone. Just do it.
If you're looking for the handout or waiting for it, blow past it. Wait, like let them come to you with 5 handouts and then you get to pick, you're
gonna wait forever if you wait on other people to do something in life.
Yep, exactly. You'll sit around and then say, man, I wish 10 years ago I did this, or I wish I did this, to where I'm happy. I played soccer all the way up to where I could get a college scholarship. And then I said, nope, I'm doing this now. And then I rode BMX and I rode scooter, like just so much stuff that I get to look back on now and say, man, I got to do a lot of stuff, growing up. I got to do all these sports. I got to play. I got to do everything I wanted. And I got to make the choice when I was done. I got to say, I'm done with soccer. I'm ready to scooter. I'm done with scootering. I'm ready to ride bikes. I got to make that choice. It wasn't I can't do this anymore. I'm going to have to think of something else. Like I'll forever keep myself busy in everything, after BMX, even like in the years and years and years to come. You just keep moving. That's what life is. You can't stay static. Call yourself a certain thing. Like, oh, I'm only this, there's always room to grow and do other things. So.
Absolutely, man. So, who you got Who you gotta thank and shout out for helping keep you do this?
Yeah, my parents is number one. Without them, I wouldn't be here. But also, I wouldn't have had the skill that I had, or the talks I had with my dad on opening up and like, hey, you got fans, you got to, you know, treat them right. You know, how would you like to be treated? So my parents, my girlfriend keeping me motivated to ride, my son, he keeps me on my toes constantly. That little boy is amazing. I get to watch him ride now. Uh, all the sponsors, Monster Energy, Free Agent Bikes, Snafu BMX, 888 helmets, Unit Clothing, Fist Handwear. You guys are all amazing. They keep me living my literal dream every single day. If I miss someone, I apologize. You know, everyone that's helped me along the way in biking, even if it wasn't a sponsor, a company that just sent me something or sent me a part, you know, it all means something at the end of the day. So it's all part of the story. It all ties in at the end of the day.
Absolutely, man. And if there's anything to sort of end this on, it's just the note that you made of like just being conscious of who's watching. And
God, that's crazy you say that, because my dad literally for years has told me, you never know who's watching, and there always is someone.
yep.
I ride for Monster. There could be a person at a grocery store that pisses you off, but guess what? That person, someone that works for that company, could be watching how you handle it. Like, you never really, the world is so small. It seems big, but it is so small with how many people you come across that know someone who knows someone in your group, and you're like, wow, I'm in Australia right now, and this person knows my friend or something like that, and you're like, okay, yeah. So now, yeah, someone is literally always watching is what I look at. Is I just tell myself that now. Someone's always watching, so present yourself to the utmost professionalism, and you just don't ever let yourself have something where it's like, that kid is good, but there's this. I don't ever want the but, you know, I just want, hey, never had a problem with him. And again, some people are going to have their problems with you just because, but you can't always please everybody.
Yep. I had my middle school algebra teacher would always say, character is who you are when no one is watching. And to just live like there's always someone watching is your character.
Yeah, live your life like you're always being watched. And that's like wherever I go, if I'm in a store, I always now try to keep my mood of like outgoing and happy, just so people they'll see and they're like, man, this kid's just wild. He's just out here. Like, and I don't ever want to be that like down guy to where they're like, ooh, like he just looks mad at something. Like, don't approach him. You know, you always gotta, no matter what you're going through, I gotta realize this is the life that I'm living, and I signed up for it and I went through everything to get it. So if I'm having a bad day at a show, those kids still came to watch me ride. So I got to do everything I can to show them, hey, I'm stoked to be showing you guys this. And then when I go home, then I can go through my stuff. But don't ever bring it to like, you know, to the public, or bring it to the people, bring it to random kids. You know, I always try now to bring that.
Yeah, man. So I've had a really good time getting to know you. And I'm stoked for the next time we get to hang out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's always cool to meet new people in the sport. And same thing you said, you know, I've seen your videos, and just from the hub when I was like, shit, like how do I research this hub? And I came across yours, and I just, you know, I just see you explaining the hub, and I don't know anything that's going on behind the scenes. I don't know you as the person, but now it's like, look at that. Like, now I know you as call you a friend, and it's like so cool to like find these different things just because you're opened up. Everyone could be uptight. I could have been closed off at the event, not talking to anyone. I would have never met you. You wouldn't have had this impression on me. And then it's, yeah, everything works hand in hand, I feel like. So everyone is always, clearly you watched the event, and that started all this. So
yeah, man. If you should just come ride Rays sometime and hang out.
Yeah, I would love to.
Well, where do people find you on the internet?
Instagram, Jeremy Malott, no spaces. YouTube, same thing, just Jeremy Malott. I have some videos on there, some car stuff, riding. I tried to do it a little more versatile, so you could get to see what I do on a daily, not just ride. Instagram's definitely my main, where I'm always doing stories and stuff with my son, or the girlfriend or traveling, taking little trips. I'm always posting. I'm always pretty active daily. I've never really had a day where I'm not on there. So that's kind of my easiest way to stay in touch.
Heck yeah. Well, everybody, check him out, and have a good night, everyone.
Peace, guys. Thanks